Hi, Adrian. You've reflected on last week against Huddersfield. Was it down to the weather, or was it a performance that you felt wasn't top notch from yourself, or did you think it was a good one?
I think in hindsight, watching the game back over, I was quite happy really in regards to the outcome and the overall the efforts that we put in. Conditions were really poor, and coming off after a game against Wigan at that physicality as well, it can take a little bit out of you. So taking all that into consideration, I thought our second half performance was pretty slick, considering the conditions. And if we get that same efforts, most weeks we're going to be winning rather than the flip side of it all.
Well, you talked about most weeks. This week you've got Catalan Dragons. What have you made of them so far this season?
Yeah, I think I thought they were a better team last week, to be honest with you, against Warrington. They're a very physical side, and they're working hard together. They're doing a lot of the little basics right. So this is going to be a really difficult challenge for us. They're a big side. They're very physical, as mentioned, and they're desperate to get a win. They're 2 weeks away from home now in a row. It's a third game in, so the players there, they've got a lot of experience. So I'm sure they're going to come here with a real belief that they can roll us over.
Who do you see the key threats then amongst that Catalan side?
Oh, like I said, the big forward pack that they offload as a team. They've got Kiri there that runs the ball a fair bit, and they've got strike everywhere. The experience is another part of their team and club that they'll bank on through this difficult part. So like I said, this is going to be potentially our hardest game so far this year. So we're preparing for that.
So when you say you're preparing for that, what do you do after last week's tough game in Wigan? Do you give the lads a little bit of time off, or do you just fire straight in it and it's all about stamina?
No, the tough part about this week is we're going from Sunday into a Friday game, so it's only a 5-day turnaround. They've had an extra 2 days off, Catalan, so they'll be fresher than what we are. We'll hardly train this week, to be honest, because you've also got to take into consideration the heavy grounds that take a fair bit of load out of the players. So we've got to try and balance the week and try and get into Friday as fresh as we can. It's another home game for us, another opportunity for our players to play together and build that bond, but also build that cohesion within the game. So we've got a lot of work to do. We understand that. So it's another week to potentially formulate that.
No Charlie, no McIntosh. So what's the state with Frankie Holton?
Yeah, we've got scans on Frankie Holton yesterday, and he's seen the specialist today, so we probably won't know until the end of the week, but it's probably going to be a couple of weeks for Frankie by the looks. We'll know a little bit more tomorrow, hopefully from the back of the scans, but we'll see how we go, and off the back of that, then we'll make a decision on who needs to come in.
So you mentioned who needs to come in. It's been a tough start. Are you liable to blood one or two more of your players, or are you keen to stay with what you consider your best 13?
I think the player that'll come in will probably be either Andy Badrock or Louis Brogan, both local Leigh players, both through the Swinton program as a championship club. So just really excited to get them involved. Louis Brogan made his debut last year for us, so he's potentially going to go again, and I'm looking forward to it. Both of them had a really good pre-season, so I'm excited to get them involved in some way.
Well, we talked a bit in previous press conferences about the likes of David Armstrong and young O'Neill. But what about, how do you see that Isaac Louis is setting down and Tessie Nui?
I think they're both settling in really well. Like I said, it usually takes around 10 plus games in the season to get your rhythm as a player when you first come across from the NRL or Australia or from overseas. So these players are no different than everyone else. And, I'm going to be patient with them because, I've seen some great stuff in both those players already, what they're doing, and it's certainly helping us as a group. I can see improvement in Alec Tuatavake as well. He's gone up another level, and the more games and time they play here and experience they get, the better they're going to be. So I'm a sort of coach that's going to back them on that and give them the time that they need.
I mean, Isaac stepped into the position, if you like, played by John Asiata, but he's a slightly different player. Mm-hmm. What should the Leigh fans be expecting from him as opposed to John Asiata?
Look, Isaac's got so much experience. He's won a lot of grand finals in the Roosters program. He's represented his country and played it at the highest level. And he's bringing leadership here, but also actions. And the way that he plays certainly leads by both his voice and his actions. And He does have a lot of late footwork. I think the fans will love him as he goes on through the season. He'll start finding his rhythm and poking his nose through defence lines. He's very skillful with the ball, but he's also got great leg speed and his power game. His carry with the ball is as good as any in the game. So we'll see all that develop over the next couple of weeks.
And Catalan last season, I think they were the first victory you had, or certainly in that first 9 games or so. Can we expect a similar sort of style of play from Leigh this year as we saw last year? Because it's been difficult so far.
Well, we've had a lot of changes in our squad, but so have Catalan, and they've brought in a lot of experience where we've sort of like gone a little bit the other way, which is fine. I mean, that's their philosophy, and good luck to them. They've got a lot of great players there, and I think what I've seen of them, they're not too far away from turning over a team and putting a run of wins on the board. So it's not so much that. I think they need time together collectively as a group, and we need to get them whilst they're not quite there. And we do have that opportunity this weekend, but we respect them I respect the coach. I think he does a great job for them. I respect them as players and a team, and we've got to make sure that our focus is steeled and that we've got a simple game plan we want to execute, and we go out and do that.
And final question for me, Adrian and Papi, what kind of reaction have you had to the 6-year deal? What message does that send out to everybody else?
I think it just shows what we feel of him first and foremost. Our fans love Edwin. He's a guide around these parts of town, and what he's brought to our team has been certainly next level. But having said that, we've also, I think, put a note out to every other club that you just can't come in and pick our players willy-nilly as you may have done in the past, and players are wanting to stay here. So, we're building a little group of men here that we feel can take us forward, and Edwin's certainly a big part of that. But with that statement last week.
Cheers. Thanks, Adrian. See you
Thanks,
Friday.
Trev. Appreciate it, mate.
I'll jump in for a quick one. Hi, Adrian. Hope you're well.
Hey, Josh. Good. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just another quick one on Catalans. Obviously, talk about the NRL recruitment, and Leigh and yourself seem to get it spot on with the players. Have you been impressed by the calibre of players that Steve Mack's been able to bring over to France?
I think some of them are world class. Yeah, I've been impressed with them, and like I said, it'll just take them. It won't take them long. It might. Hopefully, it takes them another week at least to find their rhythm. But I think that they've got some quality players there with a lot of experience, and possibly more experience than any other team. So, like I said, they've been putting some decent games together, and in patches they've been very, very good. So, it's going to be a great battle.
And just one, I mean, maybe not for Leigh, just Leigh, but across the competition from what you've seen, do you think the sort of ruck speed could be quickened up by referees so far this year?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think the 10 metres could be a little bit bigger, and the ruck speed could be sped up a little bit. I mean, that's just the same feelings that I have every year around this time with our game. But I'm sure they're working hard on that.
Nice one, Adrian. Best luck
this
week.
Josh.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Martin, how are you?
It's Martin here. Can I go ahead here?
Yes. Fire away, mate.
Great to see you again. Interesting this year, Adrian. It's your 3rd game. You've got a 100% record playing the Catalans. Interesting contrast with last year, because it was your 8th game when you played them at home, and you went into it with 1 win and 6 defeats.
Right.
And yet you beat them 30 points to 2, and then, of course, beat them again when you went to their place later in the year. So you seem to have a bit of a wood over the Catalans. Hopefully, from your point of view, that will continue this weekend.
Yeah, well, that was our 2nd year in Super League, obviously. In the first year, Wigan and Catalan were the only 2 teams we hadn't beaten in that first year. So we beat Catalan last year for our very first time. So, it's always been a tough battle against them, and we respect them as a club, as I mentioned to you. That when they turn it on, they can beat anyone in the competition on their day. And certainly had some injuries at difficult times last year, but they've got a new crew in. I think they'll be fired up, ready to go. They're working really hard on trying to get that first win, and let's just hope that that's not for at least another week or 2.
Yeah, you've obviously had incredible success so far this year with a lot of players. I think I mentioned it last week, who I frankly didn't know very much about at all. it was a bit more difficult against Huddersfield perhaps than against Wigan, in the sense that I thought your players did look as though they'd been affected by that Wigan game. Probably for the first half before they're booked up in the second half. Do you think they can stay at that level this year?
I hope so.
That's the crucial thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, we've had a really strong pre-season. I think the team's as fit as any in the competition. You know, I've got some mentally strong players in there, which is part of our recruitment process. But I feel, you know, you've got to. You know, when you play Wigan in round one, it's a very physical game, and it certainly took a lot out of us. And there's always a response either way off the back of that on your next game. So to take into consideration as well, the weather, like in that first half, we were into a hailing wind that was strong as anything. And you know, you can see in the video that the players, it was in their face and very difficult to play against. And as you would have seen the second half there, Huddersfield couldn't get out of their own 20, and we sort of dominated that second half. So it was really difficult conditions to play in, really wet underfoot, slippery underfoot. So, you know, a lot of mistakes and errors which certainly broke the rhythm of the game up, and then it becomes, you know, a real tough battle. So I'm proud of the players for sticking in there and winning the game at the back end of the game. That's what our identity is. So moving forward, I don't think it'll be any different this week, and hopefully we can get up for this one again and stay, you know, on the front foot.
You mentioned already a couple of your younger players, Badrock and Brogan, who are obviously promising young guys, itching for an opportunity, no doubt. Is your philosophy to wait until, you know, players get injured before giving those guys an opportunity, or would you want to bring them in at appropriate times when you've got the chance to rest other players, you know, who may not be injured but may just need a bit of a break from playing week by week?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of all of that. You know, we've also got I have a philosophy around the player that's in the 13 or in the 17. If they're playing and doing a great job, not to change them at all. So as much as I do, you know, like the way that Brogan and Badrock are developing, they've got to get ahead of someone that's not, you know, playing well. And at the moment, that's difficult to do. So. But I like them being a part of everything. You know, they both warmed up against Wigan, even though they weren't playing, to get that experience there. There's little things that we do to try and make sure that we look after them to make sure that they get that development as they go along. And I think we've done that as good as any other club in the competition.
Okay, mate. Well, good luck this weekend, Adrian. Great to speak to you again. Thanks a lot, mate.
Martin. Cheers.
Hi, Adrian. You all right?
Hey, Sam. Very well, yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah,
Good.
I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. Firstly, how's Matty Davis? I think he took a bit of a whack off the try-post when he crashed over.
Yeah, no, he only got winded there. We had a bit of a joke about that because it looked like he hadn't scored the try when he got down, because he was in that much pain with being winded. And I said to him, you know, you need to show that you've got that down easy so that the referee can go up as try as opposed to no try. So. But he's okay. He's just got winded and he's recovered straight away from that.
Good. And again, we saw flashes of what David Armstrong can do on the weekend. How much better is this team going to be in the drier months when you've got like solid underfoot and you can really use that pace and burn?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. You know, both halves in Lamb and O'Brien have been doing a great job with steering the team around. Evan Apape's just starting to find his feet through the middle there. Isaac Leigh's on his way to where we need him to be as a ball player. And Davey Armstrong's probably, you know, 50% of where he's going to get to. So we're all excited about everything there. We've just got to keep our feet grounded, keep working hard, get through this first difficult part, as you've seen on the weekend with the weather the way that it was. It's definitely a leveller on the field, regardless of who's playing. So, you know, the more dry games for us, the better.